Another close game, but it is the guard who comes out on top of this one, and it does go into overtime. 14-12 in their favor as M80 pulls out all the stops on bind. Even though it is the guard that walks away victorious, I think credit where credit is due. We didn't know what to expect from M80. They had never played bind. I even saw people tweeting about it, like taking this map into the lab for 2 years just to bring it out here. What a gigabrain move. I mean, they hadn't played more than one time. The old Ghost Core roster played it in last year. That was it. So for the longest time, we hadn't seen this map, and they end up coming out with a pretty successful run, even though it does fall a little bit short. But Tanner, now we move to a map that is definitely a little bit more comfortable for M80, something that's more in their wheelhouse. We're going over to Pearl. This is a map we've seen them play quite a bit, and even going back to the start of Challengers, it may have been bumpy for them at times, as they did find a loss to OR Esports going back to the very early map in stage 1. But since then, it's been a strong map for M80, and it's certainly going to be a difficult one for the guard to best them on.
Yeah, I guess like watching Pearl for M80 in this tournament specifically, we got to see it once against the Union, which was, it wasn't really until overtime in that loss for them that I really start to feel like M80 was over the jitters. They eventually end up losing that overtime, but then they come back and played against Nueve Zeta, and it looks good. It's a dominant victory. I think people were expecting that. I think what's most impressive is I don't think we've seen all of the M80 playbook on Pearl. I still think they have a lot of ideas that they haven't shown us, and they have a lot of old ideas that they haven't brought forward or like brought to light again. So I think coming into this one, they've had 2 chances to cook up options on how they want to play this map and the set pieces that they want to work in. And then if they need to, they can tap back into what they used to play back in Challengers, or the plays that they used to have back in Challengers. So I think this is a great spot for M80. Unfortunately, it's also pretty good for the guard. So this doesn't just mean that we're immediately jumping to a map 5.
But see, is it? That's the ultimate question, because we don't really know. The guard has not shown this map very frequently, playing it twice since the mid-season face-off upper final against M80. They played against Moist Moguls in week 8, and they played against the Union in the upper final. And while they did find success with this exact same composition, there is certainly concerns that maybe they weren't properly tested. We haven't seen them pushed to the brink. M80, on the other hand, is a team who has found themselves in many close situations on this map, a lot of slugfests, overtime victories and losses. M80 has been tried and tested on Pearl, and we'll see if that's what it takes to get them into map 5. It certainly feels like we could be going that direction. We've got our casters standing by to see if that is the case. Dust, Shift, map 4 is yours.
Man, tough scenes right now. I just kind of pick a favorite, I think, for either of these last 2 maps flat out. I think both the desk and what we heard from the analysts overall throughout the entirety of today have kind of pinned up the fact that, sure, the news gets better after bind for M80, but there's no guarantees anywhere. And in my mind, that sets us up for what should surely be 1, if not 2, absolute classic maps.
All right, let me be frank with you. I think M80 are stronger on Pearl than maybe what is given credit. I mean, this team in Challengers and Ascension combined right now hold a, I believe, 2 losses and 5 wins, so 5-2 record. One of those losses was when they tried to experiment with the Harbor Viper like double controller comp that just didn't quite pay off when they lost to Moist Moguls in the second split of Challengers. But when they have played this comp, they're 5-1, and they've beaten M80 head-to-head twice online.
Yeah, fair point.
So it is very possible they could 3-1 this.
Well, opening first blood will work out. Again, the pistols for the card continue to be impressive. As Tex gets one from range, then backs off very quickly. Does keep his life as the follow flashes are still getting a chance for M80 to get on towards site. Nismo will get the plant off. Forward play from John Cutie shut down, and M80 are still trying to commit into this, trying to take away that connector play. Not fully working out, though. Now the guard have numbers. Health pool still low for a couple of the members. Koala Noob tapping away. He gets 1, maybe more. Oh my goodness. He dashes forward, trying to get the reload off, but Trent has him stuck in a corner. Maybe if he had another bullet or 2, but not going to be.
Closer than I thought it was going to be, considering Tess got, I think, the opening 2, right? I mean, he got the first pick definitely on top of the double stack box, and he faded back, and they were controlling that round pretty much the whole way through up until the very end. Woo! Okay. All right. Not a thing that we thought was going to happen. I'm not even.
Not at all.
No. I think that does merit a technical pause. Yeah, probably. Well, here's what we know.
Yeah.
Here's what we do know.
We know the Pistols won.
We do know that the guard won pistol. It definitely didn't happen the way we thought it would, considering how it started. And it definitely didn't end the way we thought it would with us going back to lobby.
That's very true.
That was not on my bingo card for the grand finals of Ascension. That's for sure. Nismo is like,
okay.
Like, yeah. Interesting stuff. As I guess we might as well dig into Pearl a little bit more, right? Just overall, when you think about a team like M80, they've tried 3 different compositions on this map, but the one that they're playing now is their most played, and they have definitely been quite strong all year on this map, particularly just considering that they're equal. Like, they're 60% win rate on both sides of the map. So, I mean, definitely a massive resume, but half of their losses have been to the guard. And it's gone both ways. One time, they could not get anything going on the attacking side. The first time they played the guard. The second time around, it was the opposite. They couldn't get anything going on the defense against the guard. So the guard does hold the head-to-head advantage over M80 on this map from Challengers play. And again, in general, with this composition, they're 5-1 for the year. So
well, at the same rate though, like I hate to cut you off at the moment, but it was, you know, this is also the same situation you could say about M80 when they play this composition is when they usually win the map, you know, because they were fiddling around with playing things like Viper. They also had amidst the time where they were playing, you know, a couple of extra initiators in the mix. But now with this Fade composition that they've been pulling out, everything's looked really calm and collected, and a lot of their wins have been dominant wins, especially recently. That's been, I think, the biggest thing in my mind that stands out is how much they completely destroyed 9Z yesterday. And I think on top of that, some of the results that we had when we were watching them in stage 2 of North American Challengers as well.
Yeah, I think the consensus that I hope that we're coming to is that this is kind of an equal battleground. Now, granted, there is one little caveat we have to mention, which is important, is that is an older version of Pearl where a lot of these results are coming from. And obviously, I think the way that B plays out is very different than how it used to. In the past, the way that Pearl was constructed, B retakes were almost impossible. Just if you could get Spike down in an open location and get back to ramps at long B, it was so hard to retake because there was really nothing they could do. Like, you could just keep playing the little headshot angle on the ramp. You could, you know, just make sure you don't get flanked and you're pretty much good to go. Now, it's a little bit different. You can't really jiggle the headshot angle, you know, post-plant top B as easily as you could because now it commits you to jumping on top of a box rather than playing a ramp position. Also, you can cover the site more easily defensively because there's more cover to play from behind with the billboard not being entirely spammable anymore on the one side. Also, one smoke can block the angle into sight when that used to not be the case. So there is a lot of different dynamics now on particular how B plays out more than anything, which could make the match play out differently too.
And I think with that, taking the focus, I think starting with M80, the ability for them to play off each other has been, I would say, the most jaw-dropping part about them running this composition in particular. Like, I'm already thinking of moments where you remember seeing like EU dropping a Prowler in, Koala Noob is quick to follow up with his own smokes, dashing on in towards sight. Knife and flashes are there from Nismo. It's just like, it feels like they layer their utility so darn well. No matter if they're on the offensive or defensive side, because retaking on the defensive side, they've been able to stay super efficient on. So I think both teams have very different pros and cons when it comes to how they choose to play this map, which is why I think for this map and potentially Split if we need it, they're going to be great maps. I don't think we're going to see runaways in either of these last 2 maps if we get both.
Again, outside of their matches against the guard, the attacking side of M80 on this map has been just so devastating to most of the teams they face. Like, even when they lost to Union in that overtime game, their attack was still on point. They got 7 rounds at that side. And again, we've seen them even against like Oxygen, top 4 team. They got double digits on the attack. G2, they got 9 attacking rounds against them. So they have consistently been able to just be strong on the attack. And really the reason for that is because they are so good at just being efficient with the fast-paced play, and they can come at you a bunch of different ways they do it, right? Like, obviously the A set plays and how quick they're able to do that is like something that they're very strong at, but the other thing that they're really good at is like controlling middle and then being really rapid at R to B link and then catching you that way. So they just have a bunch of different ways that they can play explosive Valorant, and they're very effective at it. Whereas the strength for guard on the opposing side on their attack is, again, they're a little bit better at just kind of playing the spread offense, poking and prodding all across the map, leaving all their options open to the mid round. and then kind of playing from there, and then throwing in the occasional pacing change.
Yeah.
But that's been the dichotomy between these two teams the whole time, right? It's just the little slight differences in style and what their strengths are.
It's a pretty great breakdown, if I were to say so myself.
Thank you, brother.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that.
You got it.
I try.
Boy, friends, I'll tell you, we have been in a a blender tonight.
There's been a lot of Valorant watched. There's been a lot of Valorant casted. There's been a lot of behind the scenes VOD review and stat combing that we do. Like a lot of stuff, it's not just us coming out here to cast. We got to come out here prepared. And man, we have seen so much Valorant between these two squads head to head, and it's only fitting that we see it again here in the grand finals of Ascension. Again, there was certainly a chance that we could have had a Brazil versus NA grand final, but M80 got the job done through the lower bracket, and boy, did they do it in blistering fashion.
Yeah.
I mean, they dominated.
The same could be said about when the Guard played Union in their upper bracket final as well. It's just outside of one map in the midst, it just looked like Union just could not quite hang with what the Guard wanted to do as far as kind of outbraining them, and then M80 just ran at them, it felt like, from start to finish. I mean, they were carrying a lot of heat after that.
It was like 8 total rounds only from Union?
Yeah, dude, it was
wild.
I mean, that was surprise to say the least, because I think you and I both walked away after like day one of bracket play. We're like, hold on a second, this Union team is playing some clean Valorant right now. Like, they definitely have a chance of putting themselves on top of this region, but
they looked improved for sure in comparison. And that's saying a lot because they were already the #1 team in Brazil and were like just a strong team already, but they did look more refined as a team. Like, they weren't as individually reliant. They had a little bit better team play. They just seemed a little bit more sharp. But nonetheless, M80 got the job done in the lower bracket, find themselves here in the grand finals for that grudge match, I guess you could call it, against the Guard. A friendly rivalry. Sometimes there's a little smack talk, but it's always in the server, not outside of it. Except for that one time they looked over each other on the wall on stage and had a little extra chatter. But I'd still count that in the server. You're still in the match, right? As soon as this game is over, it's going to be all handshakes, I'm sure. Although one team will be certainly ecstatic and one team will be left a little bit devastated after
100%.
a long, hard year and with so much on the line. I mean, let's be honest. Both these teams are very much quality of being in VCT. Like, they are both very deserving. They would certainly do damage, I think, in the league. And certainly, depending on how things go, maybe some of these players, even if they're on the losing squad today, could still find themselves in VCT next year, depending on how things go. So,
sure.
Definitely a lot of talent on the stage. Definitely two very deserving squads. And we have a series that's very tight right now. 2-1 for Gar, but we're going into Pearl. Again, common ground. Both teams have a good shot at winning this one. And with that said, there's a decent chance at a Mat 5. But the Guard do hold the edge. They have the pistol under their belts, and a 3-1 is certainly possible.
Very much so the case. Boy, a lot riding on it. Obviously, doesn't get much more important than this. And I also just will say, because this kind of hit me when you were talking through the regions of the teams.
Yeah.
I'm also thinking of teams like Voice Moguls, who I think could have represented North America just as well, if not maybe even better than some of the other teams that were here at this particular tournament. So it kind of gets me a little bit amped up and excited about next season as well. And whatever happens in this offseason.
They've held their team, too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's the one squad that he came out and said, "No, like, I'm going to keep them." Some orcs have kind of dropped out. They have, so far at least, it seems like they're sticking together, which will be fantastic. I think they'll be a strong Challengers team next year for sure, depending on how things go. And yeah, I think it just goes to show like how strong Challengers is in general, to see the quality of these teams. We did get to see at least the Guard get to play against one of the VCT teams early this year at the Terran Invitational, the Ludwig Terran Invitational, and they actually won some of those games. So again, they actually won the whole thing, by the way. They beat Sentinels and TSM and T1 to do it. And yeah, it is tough that we're going to have to send one team home so close to being the VCT for 2 years, and they ultimately just miss out. But then, of course, we have the joy of celebrating the one team who does make it, and how much that means to those players.
Absolutely. It solidifies the future, right? I think that's the biggest thing for these guys in particular. I think it's maybe more so a conversation for the Guard because of, their ability to qualify for Reykjavik, sticking together, trusting the process that these guys would get picked up in the midst of all the partnership conversations. And then when it doesn't happen, they still trusted each other to come back together and put together what was arguably, undoubtedly, the best team in North America to start the Challenger season. M80 on the other side, I think you see a lot of individual growth from the players. It almost kind of feels like a story like the Guard had put together from a couple of years ago, but with a little bit more familiarity to the scene overall for M80.
Yeah, I mean, M80 was definitely, I mean, again, like if we go all the way back to the beginning of the year, when we saw these two teams on paper, you know, first off, we knew the guard would be strong just based on the core four that was a strong team in VCT throughout 2022. And there was no question that they would be a front runner in challengers considering their pedigree, their experience, and just what we knew of them, right? The only question was how well will Tex fill Sire players' shoes? And over the course of the year, we pretty quickly found out he can do a pretty darn good job filling those shoes. And he's been doing it really darn well here at Ascension. Again, he is probably the best player in Ascension, you know, from this point, you know, to the beginning. For M80, on paper, the team looked strong. We didn't know exactly how they would gel together. You know, obviously they kept the core three, so we knew there's a lot of chemistry there. But we didn't know exactly, you know, how the other two players would fit in, you know, how quickly they would be able to come together and get the job done. But, you know, pretty quickly, you know, it became very apparent just how individually talented they were. And maybe at times we felt like they were, you know, a little bit loose and scrappy and maybe needed to tidy things up a little bit, but we knew the talent was there. And over time, they did become more refined as an aggressive team. They added some organization to their chaos.
Who would you say, and I don't think we have anything built for this, so I'm just going to go off the cuff here and just create a story point for us to talk about something. Who would you say is like MVP of this event so far for you?
Tex, for sure.
You think Tex? You wouldn't say Trent?
Ooh, that's a tough battle. I think who wins the grand finals will probably determine it. I think it's a neck and neck race in my opinion. Like if you just want to look at the numbers and go that way,
sure.
Trent is definitely up there in pretty much every single metric. There's really no ifs, ands, or buts about that. But I don't know, man. Like it's tough.
It's a tough question.
It is because they're on the same team, and
right, yeah.
If they wind up winning. Oh, man. It is tough. Maybe you give it to Trent just based on diversity and agent pool.
That's where I was going to go with the
category.
That's exactly where I was going to go with his flexibility.
But Texas had so many big moments, and he creates so many openings that he kind of like opens up the rest of the round for everyone else with the space that he creates and the entries that he's able to achieve. So it's tough, man. I think you could go either way and you wouldn't be wrong. If that makes any sense.
If M80 wins, are you kind of in the same boat then, talking between Nismo and Koala Noob then?
I'm actually thinking Xander. I'm liking Xander a lot.
I'm here for that.
I think he's had an incredible performance. I think Nismo definitely is in the conversation. Koala's also in the conversation, but
based off the fact that Nismo has been able to go to like weird flex maps and still pop off and just dominate, I think that he currently leads the charge for me. If again, this is all hypothetical, okay, chat? We're just making conversation happen while we're waiting for whatever we're waiting on.
Yeah, with really no idea when that waiting will end. No, I think you're right. Like, obviously, the fact that Nismo has been able to play very powerfully on both Raze and as a supportive agent, whenever he's asked to do whichever one, he rises to the occasion. I think the big thing that really has helped, you know, build the case for Nismo as potentially the MVP is the fact that he's doing so well in both like just general ACS and things of that nature, but he's also number 2 in clutch percentage, but he's also number 6 in first kills per round. So if you're looking at the timeline of a round, he's able to come in with impact at the start, and he's also able to help close down rounds in the end. And I think that really puts him in a good place. But Xander's also kind of in that same area. Like he also ranks very highly this tournament in clutch percentage and first kills per round, as well as also being the number 2 player in the tournament in ACS, you know, just behind Trent. So, again, it's one of those things where I don't know that you could really be wrong.
Like, good options everywhere for sure.
Yes, let's put it that way.
Fair enough. Well, it doesn't look like we're any closer to getting into game here. As
we don't know. We're flying by the seat of our pants. We're doing it live. We love you all out there. You know what? I do want to give some shout-outs, though, really quick. First off, I want to give a shout-out to all the family members out there for these two teams. I mean, that's a big story that we've talked about all year long, is how supportive the family members of these squads have been, particularly a lot of the players over on the guard. Like, you know, I'm thinking the Koala Mama, I think is actually her literal account name. She's been out there. We've seen a lot of the other families out there as well, so we definitely appreciate all that. We also just appreciate all the watch parties. I mean, you guys definitely are a key component to the community. You know, there are so many of them out there who do great work. You know, Sliggy, you know, Tarek, Sean Gares, you know, there's so many others as well that I'm not even thinking of that you know, really kind of help the community. And so a big boost out to all you folks out there watching from the watch parties. Hope you're having a good time in the chats with your streamer of choice. And yeah, just shout out to really all the fans who have helped made Challengers such a fun experience for everyone throughout the year.
Love it. Well, after those shout-outs, we are going to kick things over to a brief break.
Sure.
Hopefully a brief break. And
Yes,
we'll be back into the mix here with Pearl, hopefully very, very soon. Sorry for the delay, friends. Stick with us. We'll be back after this. Hopefully. Welcome back, everybody. Wow, what a night we've had so far. But we're ready to get back into the mix. The guard, of course, did take the opening pistol. I know you may have forgotten. But we are back into the action here for round number 2. At least that would be the assumption based on things we do. I think full force buys coming on both sides, if I'm not mistaken, your Dust?
It does seem that way. Obviously, the guard won the pistol, so they're able to buy up a little bit here, but we're seeing that the attacking side definitely has something invested into this one. They are definitely a team that likes to roll those stingers, and they're going to try to go B-Link, but they're getting stalled out by some utility.
Oh, that fragment placement gives Jonah a little bit of breathing room. Tex also rotating over through backside halls. Will find one, and no one checks Jonah in the corner. Trades are decent. Nismo able to get a couple to the back, but Tex still creating a lot of time and space for the rest of the team to rotate over, and yeah, no worries there. We're back into the mix, and the guards start us off hot.
Yeah, that revealed 4, that knife did, and then the suck came in, and they were stuck, and that rhymed unintentionally, and everyone got destroyed.
Fair enough.
Sorry, we're trying to work ourselves back to the cast. You know what I mean? Like, you know, there's been a bit of rust for them. We've been out left in the rain. But now we're working through it. As again, if you're just joining us, the guard is up 2-1 for the series in this best of 5. In these grand finals, only one can win and only one can move on to VCT for next year. We are kind of on an equal battleground as we kind of debated. You know, both these teams have shown a lot of strength on Pearl throughout the year. The guard owns the head-to-head over M80, having beat them both times they played this map thus far. And they're off to a good start here, 2-0.
Agreed.
M80 into another little force buy situation here, trying to go for a quick A split.
I mean, M80 are going to get a lot of space here initially towards A, but the focus on this defensive retake is going to be quick to come around the back. Koala Noob under a little bit of pressure, does dash away from net, so he keeps his life. M80 not going to commit forward through that play, instead regroup over through mid. And they've got the option here. They could actually just try to overwhelm and isolate by hitting this all together or rotating back. It looks like they want to do the former of the two.
The thing is, there's such a forward angle from Tex on B side that they're able to kind of keep this grouping on the A site, as well as they do have the Killjoy utility kind of keeping tabs on B Link. They're also watching for any type of sewers push by net. So they basically have all their bases covered defensively speaking. And this is the one of few teams that have been able to shut down enemies' attack on Pearl.
Here we go, Jonah P stepping in, tries to drop his own fragment. John Cutie just going immediately for the plant. That's a nice call for M80, just trying to give themselves a little bit of a clock to work with, considering the weapons. Nanostorm also keeps us dugout position contested as M80 will back over towards Art side. The guard on their retake now, working their way forward. Lots of utility now in their way all of a sudden as they have to be the ones to clear things out. Good shock dart usage from Trent. Moves the post-plant defense around just a touch. And now it's down to who chows first. And Net will find the first blood. Trent trying to stick for the defuse, but the help comes through perfectly. EU trying to get it done himself, but too many members to deal with, and the guard will start this map off 3-0 up.
That went from very quiet to frags breaking out very rapidly for the guard, as they are going to go ahead and move up 3-0. Again, you got to think about the extra variable that's now in play. The mental fortitude of these two teams to sit through the pauses, sit through, you know, what's gone on so far this game, where both teams essentially stole each other's map picks to kick off the series. Then Bind was the mystery box, where we had no clue what to expect from M80, considering they had never played it before. Koala Noob playing Brimstone for the first time ever in his career. It was a wild ride. But in the end, the guard got it done. And now we're on what could be the deciding map, the final map of these two teams' careers for the year, before they shift their focus on VCT. Whoever becomes victorious, of course, being in that league for the next 2 years. The losers will have decisions to make going forward.
Well, this round, a very important one to start things off early, as the guard will set the tone with the early operator pickup for Tex. Also, a Cosmic Divide available for VALORANT, as the guard defensively will pretty much full stack into control mid. And a number of others may actually consider trying to lurking around the back. Null command gets spent by Nismo. Offense makes their way over towards B. This is voluntarily given up initially by the guard, but they are trying to contest this post-plant late. And, there may be an opportunity for Jonah P to just slide on through. Koala Noob didn't have the angle locked up. Trades are decent, though. And now it's just down to the long lurk of Net. who will give away his position with a couple of spam shots over to Koaladu. EU on the close corner, they line up! Oh my goodness.
Oh.
That got a little too close for comfort.
Indeed it did. There's certainly going to be a bead of sweat that breaks across the foreheads of M80 on that one. Jonah P nearly stole it away in the mid-round, and Net nearly lines it up for the clutch in the end on top of it. A lot of different ways out of this one, but M80 do get it done, and that was a very needed round. It was starting to look like the Gar were beginning to create that dominant defense they're oh so well known for on this map, especially against M80. They have always been solid defensively against this team. They seem to have the formula on how to hold this team off, but a big attacking round there for M80. They'll follow it up with another full buy, low buy here for the Guard on a couple of their players, Tex and Net. A little bit worse for wear.
But still for Tex, he's only one off of being able to get knives out. So that seems to be the idea here. Tex actually stepping a little bit further forward into that gunfight. Bold decision, but eventually backs down, only getting a little bit of Xander, and now the offense starts to make its quick wrap over towards the B site.
Indeed, they do. All five looking to push. Again, M80 wastes no time. But that up-tempo playstyle looking to go for the attack. A pop flash peek goes wrong. Nismo finds Valen, and now Jonah P's kind of just stuck in the back of the site. Tex will try to join him in the back halls, but they're getting pressured everywhere.
Oh my goodness. It's just so much utility being thrown into this back hallway, and Nismo will eventually step in to clean up the last two remaining defenders on the site. Net, 1v3, still very doable. First shot's decent, almost got the snap down over to EU, but not to be. And with that, M80 will bring it back to 3-2.
And with that, they'll also force Guard to concede. Looks like we should see a save here. While they do have all the ults available, the firepower is not really available. They are going to go a little bit of a halfway approach, you know, get some shares, get a stinger, give yourself some chance, especially if Tex can break out Bladestorm, make a play happen. Then you can use those ults if you feel like there's a way back in the round. If not, no harm, no foul. You tie it up, you get a full buy next round, and you have all the ults at your disposal. So, I mean, they really kind of have the dealer's choice on how they want to play this situation out. And so with that, it's still very dangerous for M80 despite having the firepower advantage.
Yeah, Guardian has also been purchased here for Jonah P. So long-range pressure could still come through, but Koalanoob has the operator out, and he will tally the first blood over through A. Trent, I wouldn't think about doing that, brother. And he will hold his ground, and will continue 4v5.
Yeah, Koala will continue to try to just hold this A angle, and meanwhile, they are kind of keeping tabs on any type of B push with the positioning of John Cutie. Looks like, again, they just want to gather and trade. That's M80 style. Bunch up and brawl. But we see Trent, great frag. Oh, nearly find another.
Flash out for Jonah P, trying to step into it, but no.
Here.
Good mitigation from M80. Got a little tight for a moment. There we go, 4v2. Prowler will clear out the initial staircase over towards Art side. Net, timing-wise, oh, I'm sure he would love to have that one back. Tech over the top, gets a reset, dives on in, only 3 lives remaining, now just the single one. Can he reset? No. There's a rifle waiting for him, but also EU is also waiting for him. So 3-3, tied up after a quick start from the Guard. M80, 3 in a row.
Yeah, starting to get some life back into them right away, not allowing the Guard to get too out in front. They squared things back up, but again, Tex has an operator. Now there's 4 ults available for the Guard defensively. I also will say that a lot of these round wins have not been easy on M80.
No,
they've had the battle for them. This one was a little bit cleaner, to be fair. I mean, Net had a chance to cause a disturbance, but just didn't quite land the mark. So they survive with 3 players on this round. Their cleanest win yet, I would think, of the half. And this is a big round here to kind of see how this half is going to get controlled.
Wow. Look at all the opening utility offensive for M80 to try to get in towards B-Link here. The only thing in their way is an alarm bot. So that will create some problems here for the Guard to think about. And oh, Tex, talk about wanting one back. He's going to want to try to take it back, but no. Has to dash off. Cosmic Divide comes through for the offense. He's looking to go quickly, but Tex still standing tall. Nightfall also in the midst. But Valen from the corner, he's able to go essentially 4 for 2. How big is that with Trent jumping into the action late? Koalanoob now the last one left, and there's nowhere for him to go. Massive props to Tex for holding tall.
Dude, you have to give props for Tex for holding on to his grit despite the initial misses. When he misses that first opportunity, that's a rare miss. He's holding the angle. Someone swings to him. You feel like he hits those 9 out of 10 times. Then he tries to go for the aggressive second peek. That doesn't work either. But is he deterred? No. Tex stands his ground. Look at how much pressure he's in this moment. And he still delivers his second frag onto EU for Trent to play off of. That is just brilliant from Tex. again, shake off those first couple of misses and just keep that confidence. That's beautiful.
Yep. So now 4-3 the count. Still have a lot of ultimates on both sides and another full purchase coming through here for round 8. Hunter's Fury, Cosmic Divide, Lockdown, all earned and ready to go for the guard, whereas there's a Lockdown and Null Command on the other side here for M80 taking their time this time around.
Yeah, again, M80 usually just like the fast-paced A-hits or fast-paced mid-plays. This time they're kind of doing something in between by slowly approaching middle, but not overshooting either direction just yet. Tex trying to hold this forward angle with the operator over towards art position. Does find the target he was looking for in Koala Noob and is able to get away. No missing this time.
As the rotation starts to make its way through Link, though, there's no alarm bot here. A lot of the defensive Killjoy utility is actually on the site here. So there will be an opportunity for M80 to get a little bit further forward. Still a very dangerous peak, and it largely would come down to can Xander maybe even create a little bit of a space time through long. Null Command out, and Lockdown also getting spent at the same time from the defensive side. Fragment trying to deny it. It's well placed, but no. The defensive lockdown still is here, and oh boy, M80 were banking on that hitting, and now so a detainment comes out. Oh, storms are in. Xander's getting chewed up. Defensive Cosmic Divide is through, and we've got a stalemate on the zone.
Indeed we do. M80 finally able to get in on the plant. Hunter's Free though comes in from Trent. Net finds a frag, and things are looking dangerous.
Wow. What a good play from the guard. And it all just, how much of this results in the fragment not landing when M80 thought it would?
I mean, everything. I think 80% of that round was dictated on that alone. I think you called it perfectly. They certainly thought that they were going to melt the lockdown with that fragment. The moment that they don't, a player gets detained, another player gets caught in a nano swarm. Trent's able to pop off. You know, Hunter's Fury, where the clock is very tight and M80 are kind of forced to commit to a plant. Trent's able to use kind of process of elimination to start tagging the right areas. Net cleans up after the tag. Trent finds back Hall's clearance there on Xander. I mean, it was just one of those situations where, yes, it was a little bit of a missed fragment from M80, but the guard took full advantage, man. Their reactions to the opportunity were brilliant.
Big time, big time. So after 3 rounds in a row, the guard now all of a sudden have put 2 to their name, and M80 will call a pause to try to talk about things. I think a lot of this has been, we haven't really seen many post-plant setups. This has straight up just been a straight up slobber knocker on most of these 2 sites.
Again, we knew that these 2 teams were coming into Pearl feeling confident. Both these teams have played this map to a very high level. I mean, yes, we did see a loss to Union by M80 earlier on in the group stage on this map, but it was a map that required multiple overtimes, and it was damn near could have gone either way. Outside of that loss to Union, they had won their other 4 games they had played over the last few months. Their, again, only losses come from the guard, both of which were kind of one-sided, if I'm honest. Particularly the last meeting, it was very one-sided in the guard's favor. Meanwhile, you look at the guard, and I mean, again, they've beaten M80 twice. They beat Union in the playoffs. Their only recent loss was to Moist Moguls, a very strong team in the split of challengers. So, again, both teams with a pretty solid resume. Both teams fairly comfortable on both sides of the match, statistically speaking. But the guard just look a little bit more amped up right now.
Definitely feels that way. Their corrections coming after the 3 straight rounds from M80 definitely notable, as now all of a sudden the attackers will be unhindered by 3 Stingers, a Spectre, and a Bulldog. Lockdown still at the ready if needed, though. Could provide some opportunities for a post-plant if they can find a way to get the spike down.
Oh, timing here. Jonah P nearly caught Valen, able to play Guardian Angel through the smoke spam. And now Jonah P comes forward, the flash comes through, it's good. Nismo gets a couple, and he's able to get it into a 3 versus 3 and some weapon upgrades on top of it.
Yeah, the trades are decent, all things told, here for M80. It's going to be 2 rifles. Xander is not in position to take the 3rd, but still, there's an opportunity for him to kind of feel things out at A, where this rotation through Art is on the way. Alarm bot will be the first thing triggered. Nano Swarms will be held onto by Net, at least initially speaking. Lockdown could be a part of this play here for John Cutie, but yet you call it. Trent around the back. Oh, he gets red! John Cutie sniffs it out, and now Net's stuck in the dugout. He does get away, if only just barely. The hunt is on, and Net punishes to the 2v2. Net gets a second. Now it's down to Xander versus Tex. 1v1 situation. Xander cues it up, but bang! Tex finds him with the op, and that's 6-3 to the guard.
I cannot find words to fully describe how important Net's play was there and how impressive it was. This guy is getting pressured so heavily inside dugout position from utility. He doesn't really have any support anymore because Trent gets caught on the backstab. The man decides to play back through the smoke against John Cutie and is somehow able to find a second frag, and it gives Tex the chance. It gives him a fighting moment to try to win out the 1v1, and he gets it done. A headshot just to add some extra accuracy for icing on the cake, and it's now 6-3. And that was a tense one, and the guard somehow found a way through it.
Thing is, caveat to all that, M80 was just coming in with stingers, so it's still relatively punishing round. You can keep the bank accounts level for the guard. They don't snowball, at least technically speaking. But still, late into this first half, the guard have gotten past the halfway point on their side of the scoreboard. M80 still working with a lot of fuego through mid.
Yep.
And the Prowler will help them get in towards Art again.
Yeah, they like these heavy Art plays. They like to move fast. We've talked about that a lot. They're using some good utility to block off the rotation from that angle. They're going to use their own lockdown now as well. That's going to clear out the entirety of B site, basically, other than maybe a sliver of dugout. But look at Nat challenging again.
He hits the head of one. Oh my goodness, Nat's going to get two. So 2 for 2 exchange. Still will allow M80 to jump on. Trent will be detained here backside yellow.
Spike planted.
But all things should be still fine. How do you set up this post plant? Tex backs up but avoids. Oh my goodness, Xander down low initially. Quickscope comes out. Now to a 2v2. EU's on a single point of health. John Cutie fully healthy with light armor. And the retake for the guard is coming in tandem with one another, playing around the back. EU's holding right on top of the spike. Down low, no, EU gets one. Again, on 1 HP. There's the gravity well. Should be an easy finish. Now Valen, does he get a read in the last one? John Cutie in the corner will finish it off. And M80 go to 4.
A labored route to 4, though. Again, another moment where they almost got clutched upon. Net comes up with a big double, playing through the lockdown, putting his team into 3-on-3. And again, you got to respect the boldness of Tex. Even though he whiffs the Blade Storm, he hits a crazy op shot, nearly hits another there onto EU. But EU holds on. He wants it with 3 frags on the round, and then John Cutie left on the stone unturned, able to finish the job. And so M80 finally catch a little bit of wind in their sails. A really nice execute and really well managed post plant.
Yeah, absolutely. Couple of ults available on both sides. Lockdown now for Nets. Cosmic Divide at the ready for Xander. Koala Noob's close to knives. Don't anticipate seeing them here.
Oh, that shot dart.
What a dart, dude. A trans utility game off Sova is just, it's unreal.
And he, of course, detects a lot of presence over on A side. And it was certainly M80 looking to go for a faster paced A play as well as getting orb. Now they've been slowed down a touch by that utility from Trent. Again, we do have Jonah P kind of jiggle peeking long B just to kind of keep tabs, and they're keeping their A defense in place here.
Wow, that knife detection is massive because this whole setup for M80 was trying to bait something towards B with EU making a move. He's sending out both of his prowlers, but I mean, look at the defense. Jonah's already saying, all right, I mean, if they don't commit in the next 20 seconds, then I'll go back. But for the time being, he can lean towards A. And he will second guess this. Yeah. Thing is, Net's got a lockdown here. This is going to be really problematic for the clock for M80.
Indeed. Yeah, he has nanos to stall, plus the turret to trigger, and then, like you said, the lockdown available, and he's already popped it.
Yep.
And now what are they going to do?
This Cosmic Divide's not going to last long enough to stop the initial contest nor retake. You've got one member on, still in net. Nismo still trying to force himself into the plant. He will sacrifice, likely, his detainment here, but his teammates have kept him safe to this point. Wow, that's actually pretty huge. Cosmic Divide does its job just long enough as Nismo shrugs off the status effects of the detainment. Top shot lands for Tex. That's huge to shut down the potential pinch. Dual command spent by Nismo trying to stop the utility early for the guard's retake. Can they win these gunfights at range? That's what it's going to take. Tex turning the tides. Operator is being a huge X factor, but Xander up top. EU down low. They go back and forth. Just down to Valen. For the 1v2, both players are low on health. And Valen will try to get this to half. Maybe even more than that, and no. Koala Noob will spam him down, and round 11 goes the way of M80.
Yeah, you start to get a little bit concerned that the utility with the lockdown and nanos would be a problem. But as you said, that Cosmic Divide lasted just long enough to give Nismo safe passage to get the plant, get the team, but get away safely. and get into good post-plant positionings at long B. Again, while the slight has changed, it's still pretty hard to retake when you have players able to play long B like this. Your only hope is to really try to get that op out and work and use some long-range battles to your advantage. And while Tex was able to get 3 when it was all said and done, it wasn't quite enough. It made you get the job done. Both teams still fully bought out. Qualanu pops the ult. Look at the aggression defensively.
Oh, Tex in a little bit of trouble here. Qualanu maybe looking for more, and he finds it. Oh my, Trent Snouse tries to touch timing, but that won't work out. Only gets the 1 trade. Valen trying to create a line in the sand for this defense to get into position, but there really is no one left.
Wow.
And the bold aggression from M80 is going to work out here likely for round 12.
It's just one of those rock, paper, scissors type situations, wasn't it? Both teams elect to fight heavily on long B early round, and both teams had the numbers there, and so it's just going to be an all-out brawl, and M80 comes out on top as they so often do in those chaotic situations. That's what they pride themselves on, being a wild, aggressive team that can handle the chaos, and they really pave a way into this half. They were looking well behind, and now it's all even.
Oh, yeah. Wow. What a half. Took us a while to come back from the pistol, but once we did, it was all action. So we swapped the sides, and now it's up to who cracks the code early. Again, favor on the pistol towards the guard, statistically speaking.
Sure.
But M80's defense, like you continue to mention, it's just as good as their offensive side is. I mean, it's just kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of another.
Yep, very true. We've seen them do both at different points in time throughout the year. The guard has typically done it one way or the other. The first time they beat M80 was because they had a 9-round defensive half first half and didn't really have to do much work on the attack to close.
Right.
The next time around, they started on attack and won 8 rounds and didn't have to do much on defense to close. This time around, they're kind of somewhere in the middle, Chip, where they are going to have to actually do some hard work to close out the game. They don't have like a massive advantage to work from.
And that's the thing about both these two teams. On these individual comps for each team, they've dominated the competition. So even though M80 have some close results, with this comp, they have looked really, really good. And how about the full mid control coming out? This is all about how long can Nismo stall. That's simply it. If he could stall and support with these stars, this flank could be nasty.
They're doubling back through Art, though, but it's still going to be a flank potential. It'll be interesting to see if they can pick up on Koala Noob, who's just playing this corner. He never triggered the turret, so the guard have no idea how much space M80 may have taken in the middle. They need to check this corner.
Yeah.
They absolutely must, and they do.
Oh, just a wide swing from Valen. Huge heads-up play. EU, though, may catch a bit of timing here. A little pinch setup over the top, but the flash comes through. Xander gets pulled off, fragment in, and Jonah P will use that as a chance to collect the kill and push through his fragment for a quick rotation to possibly catch someone else defensively through their spawn. And oh my goodness, Nismo has absolutely no idea, and why would he?
How could you? Yeah, how could this man literally Usain bolted through his own fragment and then gets in the back lines and wreaks havoc, and now it's just 2 left for M80 to fight in this pistol round against the 4 of the guard with the post plant.
That little shoulder gets checked. Gravity well. Shock dart used in combination to make sure no one's holding on for halfway defuse. Valen, here comes the check. Oh, it's John Cutie, the opening double, though. Hold on a second. Oh my goodness, hold on a second. Just down to Trent. John Cutie gets to the halfway recon bolt down, and the shot lands. No way does it end like that. The guard take the pistol, survive the 4v2, and take the edge in the second half.
Ain't no easy rounds today on Pearl. With so much on the line, every single moment seems to take everything from these 2 squads to stay alive. But Trent does get the clutch. The crowd is amping. I mean, you have to be when you see rounds like this. It looked like the guard had that one dead to rights, 4-on-2 post plant, but then M80 come out swinging, really challenged nicely, but the guard do just hold on. But now we have the force up from M80 with these marshals and Ghost. Not looking to lie down, looking to fight right away.
Yeah.
They know how costly that round was, Chip.
The interesting thing about this setup is both marshals went to B long here, so it will just be the Ghosts in and around A. And against SMGs, a Bulldog and a Guardian, that's a tough battle. Early rotation from Koala Noob trying to get there. Aldrone scouting things out. 1 tag comes through, but the guard does not find the connection on the kill, and they're going to back away.
Yeah, they just don't know how much else is there, right?
Sure.
They were able to spot one. They didn't spot enough. They didn't get to clear out enough corners to feel confident in laying into the A side, but they've thrown enough of a feint to make M80 bite down and respect that it could be an A execute, and this is maybe going to give them the timing window they need to just splurge onto this B site with free passage. As they're all coming through long now, just one player stands with the Marshall between them and the spike plant. It's going to be EU.
Oh, misses his first chance. Does keep his life. Doesn't take any damage. Oh, second opportunity, but even though a body shot lands, the guards still find the first 2 kills. Spike will be planted here. Spam shots coming out. It actually stops Jonah P from planning initially. He's down to critical health. This is still very doable, pending, of course, they can find kills. And the problem is the post plant all retreats back over to ramp side.
Yeah, they're so low on health. You're right. These Marshals at range could definitely maybe get something done, but they do get away safely. VALORANT catches the cross on Nismo. That should do it. Should being a keyword.
Yeah,
and it does.
Full flood. Wow. Okay. Force buy doesn't quite work out here for M80, though again, it's not really, you know, a 1-for-1 force buy. They're still going to be able to afford quite a bit here coming into this next round, but they didn't make it as punishing as they think they were hoping to.
Yeah, this is like a pretty decent bonus round. It's 4 rifles. One of them is a Guardian, one of them is a Bulldog, but still, they're not tied down to SMGs. Although Jonah P does decide to spec down the one.
Oh, you
to make sure you get some utility. Okay, yeah, fair enough.
Placing swarm grenade.
The selfless teammate dropping the rifle over to Valen. And he's on a heater right now. Why not?
I'll say. Quick dash through here. Control over through A. Quick rebuttal, though, from the guard, making a play in towards Art.
And look at what Texas has done in the meantime.
Respect this, yeah. Oh, over the top. Lots of damage. Exchange. Oh, my goodness. And then Valen follows up with a second. Fragment down. Valen getting a lot of damage his way. M80 still have a chance to rotate quickly. They have not allowed the spike to be planted as of yet. Cosmic Divide could be used here for Valen if they feel like they need it. Trent sees everything. Cosmic Divide will come through immediately afterwards. And actually, a couple of shots do tag John Cutie, and M80 may need to consider saving here. Looks like they will.
Yeah, they are going to tuck their tail between their legs and kiss this round goodbye. They just don't have a way back in. Dude, I have to say, there's no stat for this, but the amount of times we've seen Tex miss his first opportunity, but then keep his composure and find the follow-up chance, it's been remarkable this game.
Absolutely.
I mean, you look at the first half, he had a couple of rounds where he kind of maybe missed the mark on this initial op shot or two, or maybe he didn't quite land the blades that he wanted, but he'd follow up somehow with a nasty shot or two. And that tap he got over the top of the site after kind of whiffing his first chance on the boost was brilliant. And it opened the floodgates. And the guard never wavered from that point forward on that round. What a beautiful play.
So another 3-round opener to our second half. The guard doing exactly what they did in the first.
I wish we could see that map again. Oh,
M80
man.
is going to...
Are we?
Call.
Nope.
Nah, not quite.
We're going to see the crowd, which is cool. Glad the crowd's having a good time. Look at them getting hype. They even got some cheerleaders up front.
What is
Heck
going on?
yeah, they are. I don't know, man. They're having a good time out there.
They're trying to hype up the pauses now. It's become a feature.
Yes, we're like trying to build.
Look at these boys.
Yeah, lend us your energy. Maybe trying to taunt M80 a little bit since they're behind. Try to rat them a little bit.
All right.
It's been a long day. Lend us your energy, crowd. Let's build a spirit bomb here.
Look at this, Mo. He's
Spirit bomb commentary. Yeah, he's like, he knows what's up. He's not worried. M80 timeout, but Happy's not doing a lot of talking. Curious. Maybe he's kind of letting everyone kind of share their piece.
I mean, it's been such a well-rehearsed map for both these two teams. May not need anything besides just small adjustments, because it feels like a lot of these rounds have come down to a lot of 1v1s, 2v2s, things of the nature.
Sure.
No need to rewrite the book.
Does seem like the guard are starting to inch towards that finish line.
Sure
Get
feel
that
that
final
way.
map they need to hoist that trophy and punch their ticket to VCT next year and the year thereafter. But M80, again, a formidable opponent on Pearl. Very comfortable here, very easily could turn this thing back around and challenge for a 5th map. No doubt in my mind they're capable. So much talent on this squad. They've been so resilient all year long, winning the midseason face-off, winning challengers, taking some knocks their first couple of moments on stage, but then making a crazy lower bracket run to get back to these grand finals. You cannot count them out.
EU sees some information, backs up very quickly. C's will be spent here trying to lock this in place, followed by the Haunt for intel. Help on the way. Xander's going to be stepping in right next to it, and Xander gets 2. Joda does at least provide 1 trade. EU still alive, if not a little worse for wear, down to 70 HP. Trent trying to cut things off by playing a bit forward and towards Flower's side. The same was the idea for Valorant. Trent finds some success on his side, but it's only marginal. Down to Jonah P. It's the first, but no. The follow from EU from behind is good, and M80 get back on the winning side.
Like I said, don't count them out. While the Guard were certainly getting a little bit of wind in their sails and inching towards the finish line, M80 are still around and still a team that can get the job done. They've shown their composure and perseverance multiple times throughout these last couple of weeks, facing the odds of the lower bracket, battling their way through, getting revenge against Union. And again, this is a rivalry in North America that we know can really go either way, as it has been an equal series thus far, 2-2. As far as overall best of 3s, best of 5s against each other so far this year goes. Credits are a little bit vulnerable right now for M80. They're not the ones yet, despite a big win there.
Yep. But they do bring a lot of firepower here, including the operator, which will be unmatched this time around. Early, Null Command being spent by Jonah P. Flashes to follow, and Tex just dashes right on in, finds the first blood. And then backs out, where he finds Koala Noob waiting for him. Holy, this was all just a fake.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, this is all intentions towards B, so Tex has got to be smiling ear to ear.
That was a fake cream sundae, and it got everything it needed. It got the whipped cream, the sprinkles, the cherry on top, you name it, they had it. It was a part of it. It was tasty. And now they're going to be up 10-7.
Yep. Holy
Dude,
cow.
the amount of damage Tex did there. And also the wherewithal to like entry quick and then immediately divert back to art and then just catch Koala Noob in such a tough spot. Like, you can't expect Koala to do much there.
No, not at all. I mean, and the thing about it was, we also see John Cutie play that spot a lot. So, I mean, you have to know, I think, if you're Tex, that you back up, you watch that cross, there's going to be a high chance you're going to make contact again.
Yep. But just to be, instead of taking it further through sight, to take it back through art. That's so brilliant, man. It's a nice little change up.
Tex isn't done at the moment. Although EU Nismo will force him to be done. So a couple of fadeaway kills will see M80 carry these 3 weapons into the next round.
Yep, got the op back too, is the big part.
Yep. And it's gonna be a judge for Xander here, maybe, thinking about it.
He does get dropped a rifle from a teammate. I believe that was Nismo who was able to drop him. It was either him or John Cutie, not sure. Either way, they're able to get a full buy here, but their credits are running scarce. If they lose this round, they are in a lot of trouble.
Yep, looking at 7-11.
Power.
Yep. Important round, very important round. Opening knife can be sent right on over to top of A. EU's caught by that, backs up immediately. There'll be no further focus. Offensive gravity well, not going to catch anybody on the opening entrance towards A. Aldrone to follow. The guard maybe showing a bit of pressure, but once more, they're just here to collect orbs and back off.
But here's the problem. Quality was pushed all the way up Long B in the meantime. This is something that M80 have not had in the past, and they felt this early A pressure. They didn't have map control for the intel to really be able to kind of understand exactly what they were up against. Now they do. Quality has a great position. The only thing that's vulnerable is B-Link, but there is that alarm bot at least keeping tabs on it.
The thing is, the guards should be very familiar with this setup. They pulled the exact same thing out on their defensive half.
Sure.
So they deal with the alarm bot. Star gets put over towards B-Link. They're thinking that maybe M80 are going to rotate over. That's not the case. We're going to get a 5v4 on site here. Darts coming out, stepping forward with Xander and EU, but they don't trade out well. EU still trying to hold the ground for as long as it be possible, but there's just everything being thrown at him. John Cutie doing what he can to hold on, but he can only do so much. And now Koala Noob is left on his lonesome 1v3, and the team will make the call, save the op. We're going to have to use that to hopefully win the next round.
He's going to be the hero next round. He's going to have to be. That's like basically the one main weapon they're going to have. They might be able to force buy a little bit around it. I'm not sure with their loss bonus now. Maybe there's still some ways back in. But you're going to be put in a tough spot this next round because the guard are up 11-7. You do not want to give them free map and series points. So you're going to want to spend probably every cent you have. But what is it going to leave you with? It's going to definitely leave you a lot worse for wear compared to these last couple of rounds. Where the guard, honestly, man, have really picked up the pace. And usually they use these types of plays for kind of change-ups, but they've actually made it the forefront of their offense this half. And hold the focus. Quality may not save this up.
Wow. Okay.
That was narrowly saved.
Wow. But you have to have it. I mean, and the thing is, those kills actually get him, what, on knives right now, right, too? So he's got extra kill potential? Okay, there's chances here that M80 can still bounce back into this one, but everyone else is going to be pretty worse for wear.
Yeah, indeed they are. Stingers, aplenty, Sheriff for EU.
One off the knives.
The thing is, if Koala would have had a rifle, he could drop it and have knives, and that would have expanded their weapon pool. But because he has op, you don't really want to drop that to anyone else. You want Koala to have it, so you can't really spread the weaponry in the same way.
Opening contact, trying to come through, and it will through mid-map. Tex gets one in the follow-up flash. Uh-oh. Not good news here off the rip for M80. It's going to be a 5v3 situation, and I think all eyes are looking over to Quality. He's going to have to try to do something amazing. He's going to have to win this round.
And look at M80. They have to make this fast rotation over towards the A side of the map. They have to respect the pressure that they have felt. The thing is, they've made the right call. The Guard are playing right into it. They have no presence anywhere else on the map. They have a turret watching their mid flank, but they have no, real control. They don't know what's going on the B side, so they're going to commit to an A hit, and they're going to run into the stack. This could be a problem.
Yeah. Cosmic Divide goes up. Oh, Quality actually doesn't pull the trigger on the first shot. Doesn't make a difference, though. Xander still finds the kill, and now, yep, they do. Full rotation back, but M80 may try to meet them around mid. You've got John cutting off the rotation. He's in a good spot for this, catching one out with the knife, but nothing further. And now all of a sudden, the Guard need to make a choice. Is it going to be B or is it going to be A? And they've chosen incorrectly. Xander's going to catch another on knife. Quality there to try to set up and out of the 1v1. Net's going to think he's got time to go all the way back, and
he does.
Quality is going to try to, again, predict this.
Bot coming back.
Plant will extend the clock. Wall noob! First opportunity takes the breath out of Net, and M80 a huge round.
Oh man, the Guard run into the stack, realize it, try to back off. They actually have a pretty good exchange out in middle, all things considered, but that B link push, they were not expecting Xander in the corner. They did not have really that much time to check it efficiently either. I mean, the clock was running pretty low. And then, yeah, Koala doesn't even need any time in that clutch. He finds it the first chance he gets. And that's going to keep M80 afloat. But not out of the woods yet. And the reason I say that is because they do have to rebuy several players. They took a lot of damage that round despite the victory. That's going to keep the credits very low. And so if Guard can come right back and convert, get to map and series point, M80 are right back with their backs up against the ropes as far as what type of spending power they're going to have. So this is a tense moment.
Yeah, it is. Wow. What a map this has been. And the thing about it is, just to kind of put a little marination on all this, if we do see map 5, expect to see something similar. I think that's going to be another one of those even battlegrounds where both teams have very distinct play styles, and sometimes it's just, what's it going to be, the unmovable force or the unstoppable object? I don't know.
I don't know either. I'm just along for the ride at this point.
Yes, sir.
Man, the amount of weight on this next round. It could be a serious decider in all reality. Both teams have 2 ults to their name, both with the lockdown. Hunter's Fury for Trent. EU has his ult as well. Trent can kind of cancel out John Cutie as far as lockdown's concerned, but he can also use it to help pave the way forward for one of these attacks.
Opening look, I'll drawn out. Oh, bodyguard from Valen works out. Xander holding close. Actually, the fragment is a problematic part, but oh, he gets behind the play. Oh, what a pinch setup that is. Xander getting 2, EU the 3rd. And just like that, opening first blood countered in numbers with M80, but the secondary fight rings out, and it's Valen who gets the Guard to championship point.
Bro, it's the Guard beating M80 by playing like M80. They're just barreling through some of these moments, and even though they got bludgeoned inside B-Link, they had no business winning this round. Xander and company run them right through the Vitamix, and it does indeed blend. But then the push through long from Valen and Trent. The exchange is back and forth. Valen winds up with 3 when it's all said and done. And despite the odds, despite how bad things looked after that B-Link battle broke out, they win. And now look at M80 facing elimination. 4 chances to try to force OT, but look at the low buy they have.
Yeah.
And they're going for B-Link again. They just don't care.
Oh, boy. Okay. Can they work their way through, catch a piece of timing here? Nightfall gets sent over towards long. The only player watching this cross through B-Link would be Nismo, but the guard, they say, no, let's not bother with this. Let's set ourselves up for success.
Yep, they're gonna double back. Maybe look for the A split.
Oh, net.
Gets, you know, a little bit eaten up there, but able to escape. A is gonna get tested, and there's really only one player defending. And he doesn't have a comfortable place to play from. He's getting challenged from both sides.
Stays away from a lot of the opening damage. Here comes the hit. Lockdown gets spent. Xander trying to hold inside this tight area. John Cutie also stepping in. Damage dealt, and Xander's going to get 2 from behind. Trade comes through from Trent, but the damage has been dealt. M80 will get a handful on the opening approach. Spike gets dropped. John Cutie still staying safe behind the Cosmic Divide. Valen and Net still working this one back. Be a 2v4 situation.
Spike planted.
And the plant comes through. Nismo from behind gets the first, and now it's just down to Net on 49 HP. Defensive lockdown spent. Net gets the first. Flash out. Timing not there for Net, and that's going to lead to Quality getting the defuse.
And they're just never really able to fully clear the site. Xander actually stayed hidden. I thought that Xander was going to get pinched because there was some presence coming through long. But somehow Xander able to kind of just stay alive towards the long side of A. And when they decided to force the plant through Art, Xander never really got checked that long. He was able to just, you know, turn around and pop off 2, stop the spike from being planted for a time, buy time for rotations, and ultimately keep M80 in the hunt. That was a very difficult round to face, considering their firepower and considering just the heat of the moment, what this means, how far behind you are in such a critical time. But Xander makes a big play. And now there's still some hope.
Small lifeline for now. A lot of work to be done here. Koala Noob looking for an early first blood, but no, not going to happen. Aldrone trying to follow on in. And now Trent tries to get to work, dancing with the devil. Koala Noob slips away. Hit still on the way, though, and the follow from Tex is perfect. John Cutie still holding over towards Art Stairs. Can he find anything on this reopening? EU gets his utility, and Prowler's going to connect. The follow-up from Nismo from behind. Oh, they're going to find a couple of trades. To the 3v3 we go. Jonah P. Net trying to hang on. Pinstripe goes the kill feed. Shock Dart chips away at EU, but the health pull for Net is what's most critical at the moment. Time becoming an issue. Shock Dart sent out preemptively. No one home. Start gets placed. It's a Nebula. EU tries to hang on to it, but no! It's Trent to find the final kill! Been 471 days since the rookies made it to Reykjavik, but today is the day where veterans qualify for VCT. The Guard, your Ascension champions in the Americas region.
And you can see how much this means to them. They have tasted VCT before and they have been successful. You mentioned the qualification to Reykjavik. That was a big moment for them. They also narrowly missed out on champions. They came second at the NALCQ at the end of 2022, losing to 100 Thieves in the best of 5. They have been at the top of NA in the past. They're very near it. They decided to stick together, despite, I'm sure, offers having come their way from VCT teams. And they were kind of behind M80 just by a smidge throughout the year, coming second oftentimes to them. But when it matters most, with all the pressure and all the marbles on the line, they come through and they will be your Ascension champions, and they will once again have their chance at playing in VCT.
What a story. What a run. And what a final map it was.
Oh,
you can only give respect on both sides of the stage. But in the end, it's going to be the Guard to lift the trophy in an all North American Grand Finals. One more time, It is your America's Ascension champs, the Guard. And the biggest thing, Dust, is the transformation. From that first moment in 2022 qualifiers, and how about this? Now, all of a sudden, a chance to compete at the highest level.
And they are certainly a deserving squad. M80 deserving too. Commiserations to them. They obviously had a brilliant year winning the midseason face-off and winning Challengers North America, coming through the lower bracket, battling against the odds and making it to the grand finals to once again face their rivals in the Guard. But this time, the Guard is a touch better. And now there is no question shift. The score has been settled. It's no longer even.
True.
The Guard up overall and up where it matters most on the Ascension stage to claim the trophy, the prestige, and the placement in VCT for the next 2 years.
And boy, I'll tell you, you already mentioned it earlier in the broadcast about 5 hours ago. The last time the Guard had a chance to play up against a lot of those American VCT teams, they took him down to the Tarek Ludwig Invitational.
Yep.
So you have to know that everyone who's been watching, that's part of that VCT run from this last year. There is no doubt you have to be looking at these guys as a major threat when they eventually start back up again.
Absolutely. VALORANT, now a veteran IGL. Trent, one of the best initiators out there. Tex, you know, a guy who certainly proved himself in the chamber meta, has now proved himself to be a true duelist. Net, often just overlooked and underrated in that Sentinel role. I think he's fantastic.
Big time.
And then Jonah P, the man kind of in the background, the more supportive element. But man, he had a brilliant performance throughout Ascension. He really kicked it up a notch throughout these playoffs. And again, we debated MVP. Who would it be?
Sure.
It could be Tex or Trent, honestly. I could go either way.
Yeah.
I'm satisfied with either pick. But again, Net really stepped it up throughout Ascension. He was definitely up there with Trent and Tex in a lot of different categories. And then VALORANT making the calls and being clutch, and man, oh man.
Well, with that, we take the time to celebrate the Guard getting the love from the crowd. But for us here on the casting desk, that will do it for VCT Ascension. Interviews are coming up. The families are getting the hugs, of course, as you'd expect. We'll send them over to Brazil for you to get the final last reactions.
Americas. I think we all, me and my team, we knew we were a better team than everyone that was here. And so all we had to do was make sure we didn't make those little mistakes and stay in our game plan and make sure we were just doing everything correct. And then that's all we have to do.
Bom, ele falou que sabiam que eram o melhor time, sabiam que já tinham uma certa vantagem e que precisavam, ele e os parceiros, de não cometer os erros pequenos. E, obviamente, conseguiram fazer isso agora. So, a very quick message to the Brazilian fans right now who are here and to the fans worldwide.
The Brazilian fans are great. They're awesome, man. They're so loud, and they're always rooting for us. Every single match, you know, I always get messages on Twitter or Discord, and they're always wishing like support on us. So I really appreciate all of you guys, and yeah.
Falei para ele mandar uma mensagem para os fãs brasileiros. Ele disse que agradece demais a todo o apoio que recebeu, não só aqui no Pavilhão Pacaembu, mas também durante todas as redes sociais, durante todo o momento do campeonato do VCT Ascension. So, congrats once more. E é isso, Mar, vai com você.
The Guard. The Guard walk away victorious here as they best M80, a domestic opponent they've faced so many times in the past. And even though this one is bittersweet because M80 will not be making it into VCT, you know the guys from the Guard are so incredibly excited for what the future holds. And we too are excited. The Guard proved to be the more powerful opponent, and it's the storyline we've been wondering since the beginning of the year. Which of these two teams would best one another in the match that mattered most? Yes, Tanner, tied 2-2. Map score 6-5. Round differential +4 in favor of the Guard coming into this event. But when it mattered most, the Guard comes through and they find the victory here on stage. They are now our ascended champions of challengers. They're going to be making it into VCT next year, Tanner. This is what they've been waiting for.
Yeah, this is what the team was built for. Whether it be a duelist change or not, with Tex in the roster or Saya, this is what the Guard was meant to do, and they finally get to do it. And they broke so many narratives in doing so. M80 winning a map in the series usually means they win the series. That did happen today. M80 losing to a team usually means they right their wrongs and get it done the next time around, and the Guard made sure that that also did not happen today. I mean, I think both teams deserve to be there. Obviously, on the day, the Guard played incredible. Throughout the entire tournament, they played incredible. They went undefeated. That's insane.
Yeah, my heart hurts for M80. It really does. I want to see both teams go through. I think so many of us do. Both of them deserve it. They worked so hard to get as far as the grand finals of all of Americas. But at the end of the day, the Guard just wanted it more. They made the least amount of mistakes. They were able to capitalize more off of M80. And ultimately, they brought fire. They had multiple talents, multiple clutches, multiple retakes. I felt like on Pearl on the last map that we saw a different Guard. They were flooding. They were overwhelming M80. They wanted to close it out. They did not want to take it to map 5. And I'm so proud of the Guard for how they played.
Well, it's time to say goodbye to you guys as we welcome in, for the final time, a member of the Guard here for the Challengers broadcast, now turned into the Ascension's broadcast, as they have found themselves victorious on the stage that mattered most. Valen, I feel like we've been building to this point throughout the entirety of the year. Obviously, so many emotions currently being felt by you. Just talk me through that. Verbalize everything you're feeling currently.
Wow, I've never been so, it's hard to put into words. We worked so hard for this. It's hard, we worked so hard for this since the beginning, since last year, the core sticking together. Some of us decided to decline franchising offers, as some people know, so we can stick together because we believed in each other. So much VOD review. Josh RT, that boy was VOD reviewing us 3 hours a day. Like, bro, I want to go home. Oh man, but it all paid off. It all paid off.
You are
standing here.
You are usually a man of many words too. You are usually the most eloquent member that I've ever interviewed of any team playing in the Challenger circuit. You always give great answers and great interviews, so it's obvious you're feeling just a ton of emotions, and as you should. You know, this was the penultimate finale to your entire season. You'd been building to this point since day one, so obviously a massive congratulations for finding success when it mattered most. I have to ask, you know, you guys stepped on stage in front of a crowd for the first time today. How do you feel you adjusted to that atmosphere? Was it everything you expected it to be?
Oh, 100%. And I want to throw a big shout out to the Brazilian crowd here in São Paulo. They gave us all the love when we came in, welcomed us with open arms, and it felt like we were the home team today. They were so great, and my guys, and including myself, I felt better when I heard that crowd. When there's pressure, we all perform better. Hearing the crowd, feeling the rumble, having your heart pound a little bit when you're playing the game, that's what we want. And man, I think we all stepped up to the occasion today. We were very prepared for this. We understood what was going to happen, and it was about time. You know, it's about time we got our chance, and we finally proved it, thankfully.
Whenever we've spoken throughout the entirety of the splits, whether it was, you know, first split, mid-season face-off, second split, Challengers playoffs, whatever it was, regardless of where you were at, you always said one thing: job's not done. Now that you've made it through Ascension, I think I have to ask, is the job done? Is it finally done?
Wow. I mean, for now, I would say job's done, mission complete. You know, we made it to the big leagues where we want to play. And And then going into next year, it's going to be a new job, right? For now, the job is done. We're going to go enjoy our family, have some well-deserved off time. Can't wait to go back home. But yeah, I would say for now, job is complete. Next year, we're going to be as hungry as ever.
Well, congratulations again. I will say, selfishly, we will miss you on the broadcast. You guys have always been fun to talk to. Your storyline is so heartwarming. We love watching you guys compete. We love that you guys found success when you needed it most. You're playing in VCT next year, dude. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I want to
Well, unfortunately, it looks like we lost Valen there towards the end, but good dude. So great to see. This team has obviously won over the entirety of the Americas fan base, not just in North America, South America as well. As you can see, the Brazilian fans were coming out to cheer for this team in droves, and we are just so incredibly happy to see them finally punch their ticket. They are making it into VCT next year. They are the representatives, and the storyline was always from day one: M80 versus the Guard, M80 versus the Guard. Who were we gonna get? And we ended up getting the Guard today. And even though M80 can hang their heads a little bit in disappointment, they still end up making it through as the number 2 team in all of the regions here in Americas. It's not like they came through and got last. They actually performed quite well, and this was an incredibly winnable situation for them. They just don't have enough to get over that last hurdle.
I mean, he is just so inspiring as a person, a player, a leader. He wants me to just be better at everything that I do. I think a lot of people can relate to that whenever we hear him talk about his team and just the chemistry that they have. Well-deserved win from them. Something that pointed out to me of what he said when he was talking with Dubak was that they fought hard for this franchising spot. They didn't get it handed to them. They earned it, and that just feels way more better.
And, I mean, hats off, round of applause for Josh to be able to get all the gym time in on top of all the VODs that he's been watching. And just shout out the Guard for posting the 2-hour-long Josh. I don't know how, I can't tell you how much I watched of Josh Ortiz muscles on Twitter, but I did watch. No, for the Guard, I mean, this feels so good. Like, talking about that last map a little bit, it was explosive, like M said, where they're kind of taking the fight to M80, much like we saw in map 1 where it didn't work. They were rallied up. They were fired up in this last one. They find ways to make it work as a whole. And then, there's a world where we spend a few more minutes on the server if the heroics weren't there. We talked about the clutches, and although it didn't necessarily come in way of, the announcer saying clutch, it was Tex staying to fight on site to get to it the operator after missing 2 shots. It was Net dancing around.
Yeah.
Through the smoke back towards the site and making the hero play. It's not the right play. Just because it works doesn't mean it's the right play, but it was the hero play, and it paid off tenfold for the Guard today.
The Guard just had what it took. We've watched these teams clash at many times throughout the entirety of our Challengers season, whether it was in our first split, our midseason face-off, our second split in the Challengers playoffs as well. And it was deadlocked 2-2 coming into today. And we talked about it, the advantage was minor in favor of the Guard. 1 map won over M80 in comparison in the head-to-head, and only 4 rounds above M80 in the differential. That's not a lot separating these two teams. And even when you looked at the two teams' stats, it was almost a carbon copy of one another. They approached the game very similarly. They were very well disciplined. They played the game the way we like to see it played. It is unfortunate for M80 that they will be going home, forced to repeat another season in Challengers. But now the biggest hurdle is out of the way. The Guard is not there anymore. So, maybe now it's going to be their time to shine as we look to the next season. But before we even consider next season, we got to see how things ended up here. We can take one final look at the bracket just to appreciate the run through the bracket from these teams as we watched M80 make their way through a gauntlet of a lower bracket after losing an opening best of 3 in group stages to the Union in somewhat surprising fashion. They had a hard time adjusting to the studio environment, whereas the Union, obviously, that was their home turf. They felt very comfortable there. They had played many games on that exact setup. And you could still argue the Union was a great team because they were. They ended up playing in that upper final against the Guard and forcing them to 3 maps. One of the few teams prior to M80 that actually took a map away from the Guard. But regardless, it puts M80 in this position where they were the number 2 seed coming out of groups, so they have to play that quarterfinal. They end up losing to the Guard and then getting knocked back down into the lower, and they have to make the run through where they didn't drop a single map. If you look at this playoff, the only team they lost to, Tanner, it was the Guard. This is the only team they lost a map to.
Yeah, and to that, I mean, if you look back on it, the Guard maybe could have won that series 2-0, right? They lose the first map in the Union, that Fracture game. The Guard are actually winning, and then they kind of let it slip away. The Union pieced together a couple of good rounds that pushed it to overtime, and then they end up getting it done in overtime. So the Guard damn near 4-0'd M80 today, and should have had a mapless, or I guess a lossless run in way of maps all the way throughout. They do it in way of series, which is just as impressive. And to the Guard's point, I mean, they played second fiddle. M80 didn't know anything other than first place. The Union did not know anything other than first place in all of their runs to get to where they're at today. And the Guard, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. And today they end up getting it done.
Yeah, I think we could talk about the NA teams all day long. We love them and we've watched them for so long. But a team that really stood out for me in Ascension was Fusion. I thought they were really exciting to watch. I thought that they kept getting better and better as we were watching them. So I'm very excited to watch this particular team for Challengers next time.
Yeah, as we obviously are going to focus heavily on the two teams that played throughout the final here, it's not a surprise that we should be expecting to see some of these teams competing next year. The Union, obviously a very competent team. Fusion, 00 Nation, and 9Z, the teams that were eliminated prior to this point, they still had some flash. There was some pizzazz there, and there are certainly teams to keep your eyes on as we look toward next year for our Challenger season, because who knows who's going to be making it into the grand final next time. Who knows if M80 is even going to be that team. There are no guarantees. The international stage can be punishing. And on top of that, we still have a ton of talent domestically that could rise up and best M80. And we had teams in NA like Moist Moguls who just narrowly missed an opportunity to be here. I mean, this could have been a completely different final if Moist Moguls was here. There's other teams in that mix as well, like Oxygen, who was a fourth place contender going back to the season. There's a world where that team rises up through the ranks and becomes the number 2, the number 1 team. There are certainly so many storylines to play out in the coming year that I'm excited to see.
Yeah, I want to mention, we talk about teams that we might see next year, but I would imagine there's a world where we see, if not some of the coaches, a handful of these players maybe getting called up to Americas just based off of their performances in Challengers. I think a player like Askia, who is younger, I believe 21 years old, obviously has a lot of life ahead of him in way of esports, and he had one bad day. It's unfortunate that it was, you know, the worst time to have a bad day, but I mean, that kid is a rock star. And I know Dryad had phenomenal things to say about players like David from Latin America, coach of Fusion, that Fusion team just in general, what they're cooking up. So yeah, I think there's a world where, you know, just because those teams didn't make it through Challengers and qualify that way, there is still a chance that that we see those faces in Americas.
But just like that, the season comes to a close. It feels like we just started, just kicking back to the early part of this year, back in February, as the Challengers split commenced here in North America. And we all were asking the question whether it's going to be the Guard or M80, and the Guard answered that question today. They're going to be playing in VCT next year, which means we will miss them here on the Challengers broadcast. But there are so many other teams that will be joining us next year in all of these regions. We cannot wait to see who will rise through the ranks and become our ascended champions, fighting for that spot in VCT. We hope you guys will join us next year. And until then, farewell.